Hello again, thanks for joining me. This is the ASX and Sectors weekly chart analysis for the week ending 23rd of September 2022. First chart is the XJO, the S&P ASX 200 index. As I mentioned last week, there's a few charts starting to look a little bit messy, which does reduce the confidence a little on the analysis. You can see that when the index pushed higher previously, it was unable to reach this important level here, and that's actually turned out to be a sign of weakness that's been confirmed. Prices pulled back. There was an attempt to support the market here, and price did try to move higher, but weakness emerged, particularly in the US, and our market has had to respond to that weakness, and it's pushed lower now pretty much for 2 weeks. Price has come back to a logical level this week, although it's not a particularly strong level. This will be the stronger level down here at 6,400, and the way we're looking, I expect that'll probably be tested. Price has moved into this little zone here, and it closed right in the middle of that zone. So there is some chance there may be a little bit of a bounce, but I'm not expecting anything serious. I certainly don't expect any recovery back up above 6,800 in the near term. More likely, price will have a little bounce and come back and test the 6,400 level. We'll see how that is for strength. The next chart is the mid-cap sector. They've been acting a little stronger than the parent index recently. It did put in highs up here, and similar to the parent index, it attempted to go higher and even pushed itself above these previous highs, but price has broken down this week, and it would appear unlikely it's going to be able to recover this level. Just note that the parent index is down at this level at the moment. This was the bar I pointed out that it's supporting off of. So you can see how much stronger the mid-cap sector is at the moment compared to the parent index, the XJO. This market does look like it's broken down this week. It's clearly pushed below previous support. It would seem unlikely it's going to be able to recover back above that breakdown line. So it's either going to go sideways around the 8,500 or it's going to drift lower over time and probably come down to the 8,000 level, which is where the XJO is now. The small ordinary sector is acting almost as weak as the parent index. Price was unable to break out above this level, similar to the parent. It's pushed down now. This is the same zone that the XJO has found some support at the end of the week in, and it would almost seem inevitable that price is going to come down and test this 2,600 level at some point. This is the ASX Financials. Here's the important level here, and the failure to touch was a sign of weakness in the end. Price has been reluctant to fall here, all these overlapping bars, and even an attempt to push higher, similar to the parent, suggests that there is a reluctance for price to push lower. The XJO closed down here this week, so there is some strength in this market. Price did close below the previous bar's low this week, which is a minor sign of weakness. It is drifting lower. The volumes were low. There was only 4 days this week, so you can take into consideration that, but it was still low this week. So selling pressure isn't particularly high, but it's drifting lower. There's no real strength behind any of the trading at the moment. This is the ASX Metals and Mining subsector. This is one of the charts in particular that's looking quite messy. Price remains off the lows. I do note that spread narrowed considerably this week, and volume was only a little bit below average considering it was a 4-day week. So there may have been some modest support in this market this week. Price closed pretty much level with the previous bar's close, and that was interesting in itself. I don't expect any great rally, but there's certainly a reluctance to move lower this week on volume that was perhaps a little higher than some of the other sectors. The ASX Gold sector pretty much broke down a month ago. Price hasn't moved much lower since, and similar to the metals and mining subsector, spread was very narrow this week, although volume was much lower in this market, which sort of suggests that selling pressure was relatively low this week. It may be that anyone who was going to sell when price broke down a month ago has done so, and the market's just drifting. There's certainly no strength in the market, but the last 4 bars all suggest a reluctance to move lower, sort of similar to the metals and mining subsector. The ASX Energy sector found some support here previously, and it broke out above that a month ago, and it's been trading in consolidation and absorption mode for the last month. It doesn't look strong, but it doesn't look like it really wants to move lower. This week, price still remained above the breakout line, although it did trade lower than the previous bar's low, but within the range of the bar prior to that, so no serious damage done. Spread reduced over the previous bar, and volume was lower, but it was a 4-day week, so that was probably a neutral outcome overall. The healthcare sector looked like it was about to break out. Price had done a really good job. This was sort of a complex area where there appeared to be accumulation going on, and then a shakeout, which was really the market just rolling with the punches and using that opportunity to produce a shakeout. It eventually did break out, or at least attempt to, and pushed higher, but it's stalled out now that overseas markets have started to roll over, and price has now moved lower and below the lows of the range. I expect there will be support adjacent to where the market was accumulating previously. It would really take a break below 38,000 to really cause a serious breakdown. So I expect there'll be some reasonable support found in this zone. The ASX Industrials, similar to the healthcare sector, have moved lower again for a second week and have broken down below the highs of this little range that it tried to support in up to here. Prices moved back to the lows of the range and really does look a little vulnerable now. You would have expected price to remain above all of these lows, and it hasn't done so. So it'll pay to watch this week. The spread was fairly wide and volume was actually average despite it being a 4-day week. So there was some selling pressure drawn out in this market, no doubt. We'll see what the response is next week. You'd really hope that it can get back above this level, otherwise this will become pretty strong resistance quite quickly, I expect. Back to the parent index for another quick overview. Here's the important level above. The price failed to reach it. Here's where price has found some support this week, and the lows of the range are 6,400. I do feel as though price will probably drift down to this level and test it for strength over the next week or maybe two, just depending on what happens on overseas markets to some extent as well. This market's not looking strong. Price has broken down in the background, and the market does look like it's beginning to trend lower. Okay, thanks for your time. See ya.